When it comes to Lauren Boebert, that's the representative for the 3rd Congressional District. When it comes to Lauren Boebert, it's just kind of like, oh, we got a fascist, huh? A right-wing fascist is our congresswoman. That's who represents, a fascist. A person who hates the anti-fascist. A fucking fascist. Fantastic. A 3rd Congressional District congresswoman is a goddamn fascist. It's just it's just Jesus Christ. It's almost like, with AOC, there's a twinge of hope. There's a tiny bit of hope. With AOC, we got a little bit of hope. One of us is in Congress. We got one of us in Congress. But with Lauren Boebert, so with AOC, it's just a big disappointment. It's just like, Jesus Christ, How come Lauren Boebert is so much more effective at being the opposition voice, and how come Lauren Boebert is just, oh, God, AOC, can you be as effective as Lauren Boebert? Can you, rise up to... Part of me says we shouldn't criticize AOC because she's Latina, she's a woman. But that's, that's racist too, so... If I don't like criticizing AOC because I like AOC, just really disappointed in her, but she's the best that we got in Congress. And so I'll balance my criticism of AOC with the criticism of Lauren Boebert because that's who my actual representative is. Why am I so focused on this New Jersey congresswoman, doing some guy in California got fucked with by this New Jersey okay, but I still have Lauren Boebert, who is a terrible right-wing fascist that doesn't give a shit about me or the working-class families in my neighborhood. She isn't making anything better. She's making life actually more miserable for, all the good, decent people of the world because of the crazy, insane, inflammatory shit that she says. So we're going to get poverty cured, homelessness. How about these endless wars? 750 military bases. We're just going to go ahead and occupy Cameroon and Somalia. I guess we don't have no boots in Somalia. What's going on in Somalia? What the hell's going on in anywhere? Why are we in Niger? We got a war in Niger? What does the war in Niger have to do with anything?
I'm a college graduate. I turned 43 12 years ago, and I've been around the block. I read a lot. I've never heard what that means. So anyways, just centering people's humanity, here we go.
It's not just about the what and the end goal, which often gets a lot of focus.
But it's about the how.
But I actually think it's much more about the how.
It's much more about the how? So, I assume this is a tweet they're talking about where I lightly criticized AOC for a disappointing answer. In response to a question about Palestine and Israel, her response was incredibly underwhelming, to say the least. That was at Queer a la Mode. Did you hear that violence? Hold on, let me repeat what at Queer a la Mode. Listen to this violence. She had that interview and she said the thing, and then he tweets out, her response was incredibly underwhelming, to say the least. To say the least. So that just leaves your imagination. If that was it, right, to say the least, then that means there's a lot more to say, right? Her response was incredibly underwhelming, and what else? It is to say the least, right? So, God, Ryan Wentz. This article, Tucker Carlson and RT, they are running with this, the Gray Zone and Jimmy Dore, so this story is getting a lot of traction, and good, because this is ridiculous. This is some ridiculous bullshit that's happening right here on April 1st. AOC did a live stream with Michael Miller, the head of the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York. She was asked about peace between Israelis and Palestinians. Hey, Israel! The United States policy is a two-state solution. The Palestinians get a country, and Israel gets a country. And Israel, you can't go into Palestine and steal their land. In Palestine, you can't go into Israel and steal their land. That's their country. So Israel, stop it with the fucking settlements. We got a two-state solution. That's the American policy. Our fucking pit bulls running around the goddamn Middle East, destroying every brown Arab person that they can get a hold of. Sick of this shit. Sick of this racist apartheid state. Israel, get the fuck up out of Palestine. It's not your country, it's their country. And Palestine, stay out of Israel. Two-state solution, that's America's policy. That would have been a better response. That would have been a better response.
And
okay, it sounds like she's been listening to Anand Jerry, Honda guy, whoever the fuck, Mr. Gray Hair, Anand. Because this is just claptrap bullshit that makes you think like, oh, she's saying something revolutionary, and threats. But I hope that's what a police state.
Okay, so we didn't really talk too much about AOC there.
can you explain, though, why...
But Tara Reid is on this. So Tara Reid apparently is an author, and she comments on things. And Tara Reid says this is disgusting. Tara Reid says, "Since when are we a police state?" Tara Reid, we've always been a police state, but she's speaking out. Officers visit activists after a tweet critical of AOC. Her office denies involvement. So is it possible that the Capitol Police could have just, investigated this thing on their own accord and had nothing to do with AOC? I think it's possible. But if it did come out of her office, would we ever know? I think it's also possible that somebody in her office could have said something and now they're not saying shit. Or perhaps it did come straight, from AOC. AOC says, this Ryan Wentz thinks that he can fuck with the AOC? Send some jackbooted thugs to Ryan Wentz's house. I don't care what California Highway Patrolman tell him it was about a speeding ticket. Does he have insurance? Who gives a shit? Get the Highway Patrolman on this. Ryan Wentz right away. You don't know his name or information? We got the NSA. We got everything. Don't worry about it. Here's all his information. California Highway Patrolman. Go ask him what his fucking problem is. You got a problem with AOC? Huh? Boy? What you doing, boy? You got a problem with AOC, son? You don't like how she responded to that answer about Palestine? You disagree with the policy about AOC on Palestine, Israel, son? Is that what you trying to say? Trying to tell me that Joe Biden ain't a goddamn progressive, a bold, strong, FDR kind of progressive? Is that what you're trying to say? You trying to say that Joe Biden isn't going to solve the poverty and the homelessness and the institutional military-industrial complex violence? You're telling me that you better say Joe Biden's first 100 days is an overwhelming progressive success. You better tell me that Joe Biden has a more ambitious 100 days than FDR. He's not like FDR. Joe Biden is better than FDR. He's the best president ever. You say it. You shut the fuck up and you say it. This does chill free speech, and I hope that Ryan Wentz continues to tweet, innocuous little tiny comments. In fact, I'll make sure I'll follow him now. Like shit. Motherfucker just went through an ordeal. And why? Because he didn't really care for her answer about Palestine. She's on the right side when it comes to the Palestinian thing, when she says the how and the what. They should have listened to what she said, because she said that we're on a two-state solution. Israel needs to respect the two-state solution, and therefore the settlements are not respecting the two-state solution. So the what is the two-state solution. The how is knock it the fuck off at the settlements. AOC is correct about that, but it is underwhelming, to say the least. That is a very underwhelming. And it was the head of the Jewish whatever, so, she's talking to, what is she just supposed to go straight to the Jewish organizations and talk about how much she loves Palestine? The answer was fine. The answer, she said the correct answer. That's what's important. It was underwhelming, to say the least. But that shit that Steven Crowder's doing, this is completely outrageous. California Highway Patrolman, jackbooted thugs. You tweeted? Oh shit. You said a tweet? Are you the one that tweeted about Palestine? You're the one that had hashtag Free Palestine? That's you? Hashtag Free Palestine. That's you, right?
Why the fact that she was speaking to the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York to begin with was a scandal in itself.
Yeah, of course, the Jewish Community Relations Council, the JCRC, would frame itself, and I think AOC would frame it as, this is, basically representing the Jewish community of New York, and of course she should talk to them because they're her constituencies. And in principle, of course, that's absolutely right. But in fact, what the JCRC is large extent, is an Israel lobby group. It says it right on their website that one of the main things they do is support the line from major pro-Israel groups. And it's evident that they're taking politicians and community leaders...
So that's why it was a terrible answer. She was talking to you like a right-wing Israeli lobbyist or some shit.
Pro-Israel propaganda from some really extreme right-wing pro-Israel groups, including the Israel on Campus coalition that they promote. This is a group that was exposed by Al Jazeera's undercover documentary.
So there you go.